Welcome to Vine Chat. It is a pleasure to have Laura Di Benedetto, I hope I'm saying this correctly, the author of 6 Habits, Practical Tools for Bringing Your Dreams to Life, to join us. And also, you are the founder of a ammunition company as well.
Co-founder, yes.
Firearms are called the great equalizer.
Yes, sir, they are.
And a firearm allows a person to the most basic right to defend themselves. Do you think the real war on women is making it difficult for women to defend themselves with a lot of these anti-gun laws?
You don't know what you just stepped in. This is really a huge subject. I'm going to try to keep it really small. It is the great equalizer. And if you think about it, like, you're physically bigger than me, most likely. Okay. You have more mass. I'm one of those offensive people that believes in 2 genders because that's what God decided. I guess that makes me a bigot, and I'm fine with it. But like, your arms are going to be bigger than mine. It's easier for you to develop mass. It's easier for you to develop cardiovascular fitness. It's say, and this wouldn't happen because that's not who you are. But let's say, you decided you wanted to attack me. I would need to spend a good portion of my life dedicated to physical fitness and a lot of training to be able to handle someone who is basically my physical superior. Or I could learn to get a gun and use it correctly and safely so that I can protect myself from you with a much lower barrier to entry. I think that women should carry firearms, and I really believe that people who are anti-gun are just really not informed. And I used to be one of them. I say that freely. I used to be very anti-gun. I used to be, not interested. I remember my ex-husband was given a firearm and I completely freaked out. Also, to be fair, he's kind of irresponsible, so maybe my freak out was well placed. But I just really believe, especially now, if I'm going to go downtown Jacksonville, I'm not going unarmed. Hard pass. I don't want someone hurting me. I don't want someone doing something to my body against my choice, and I can't always do things. I mean, I'm a happy, healthy person, and I'd like to continue to stay that way. Even going through an altercation is really painful. And knowing that I have the ability to defend myself and I don't need to spend years and years and years and years and years of my life devoted to self-defense training, but I can spend a proportionally less amount of time in firearm safety and proper handling and good techniques and stuff like that. I would prefer that. Absolutely.
You mentioned that you were anti-Second Amendment before, and now you're very.
I wasn't anti-Second Amendment. I was anti-gun.
Anti-gun.
There's a difference. Okay. I didn't want to own one, and I didn't want my dumbass ex-husband owning one. But I was very much, you can do whatever you want in your own house. I still feel that way.
What was your road to Damascus moment?
Oh, it's my husband. 100%.
Pardon?
My husband woke me up. He made me realize what the world really is. He gave me a lot of really useful perspective, gave me a lot of education about what's really going on, who is behind it all. And he really wanted to keep us safe. He's former military. He was the crazy person that jumped out of perfectly good airplanes on purpose. I do not understand this. I like being in airplanes and then landing safely within the confines of a little airplane. Thank you. But he intersected with me at such an important point in my life. And then going through the whole pandemic together and the pandemic response, and then seeing all of that, it was just a huge, massively awakening experience. And it's crazy being on an island 2,500 miles away from the nearest large landmass and being afraid for your safety because violence is on the rise, because supplies are not coming in, and people are freaking out because they have no money because the government's stealing it. That will give you some perspective. Oh, and your Second Amendment rights are being denied to you because blah, blah, blah. Who cares? No. You just change as a person when you go through hard things. like I was always the person who was apolitical. I was always the person who believed that people really have good in their hearts. And I was always the person who really believed deeply that the government is here to serve us and they're an employee of the people. I don't believe any of that anymore. I believe that people are deeply damaged and they're not okay. And they don't have the tools anymore to actually defend themselves. I believe that people have been lied to and manipulated by the media. I feel like we are surrounded by people who have Stockholm syndrome, like really bad. And I feel bad. I really feel bad for my fellow American citizen. Um, People who would so willingly give up their liberty. If you deserve, like if what is the phrase? It's if you surrender your liberty to obtain a little bit of freedom, you deserve neither. I'm not one of those people, and what's crazy is like I used to be, and I used to be naive, and I used to be so like pie in the sky, and
So I've heard a couple different stories about how tough things were in Hawaii. It sounds like you really lived through a nightmare with the pandemic in Hawaii.
um yeah, I wasn't a fan. I don't live there anymore for a reason.
What what do you plan on manufacturing rifle or shotgun ammunition down the road? You mentioned being able
Pistol
to.
for now. I've learned that people plan and God laughs. So I will be keeping my plan as short as I possibly can. I have no desire to like really create like a 2-year plan or even a 5-year plan because what's the point? Things move too quickly now.
What percentages from the general public are your customers women? Without giving away your secrets, we've been talking about women and firearms. What would you say the percentages are women as far as your customers go?
About 5% of our customer base is women. Um, but there's also a number of gentlemen who call us
Mhm.
and order ammo for the family.
Okay.
So it would be hard to give you a completely accurate answer as to the actual user concentration. But in terms of the purchasers, it's typically men. Um, but it's been a delight when I've had women on the phone. They follow me on the internet and they see like what I'm doing and what I talk about, and they're very excited about it. But yeah, I mean, it's predominantly men, and there's nothing I can really do about that.
What, um, how can people purchase your ammunition?
So if you go to sovereignammo.com, that's the easiest way to do it. Sovereign is SOVEREIGN ammo.com.
What has been one of your favorite Italian food dishes growing up and who used to cook it?
Lasagna, mom.
Mom?
Hmm. Yeah, she's good. She's really good. Oh God, and cannelloni. Oh, I could go for some cannelloni. Mm.
Any favorite wines to go with mom's lasagna?
I mean, no, because she stopped cooking by the time that wine was introduced in my life. So now she cooks like under duress, and it's not quite the same. Sorry, mom. But my husband is an unbelievably gifted chef. He cooks for me, and it is a joy of my life. And he'll pair it with whatever wine we have. So, but I have to tell you, shout out to Costco. Y'all have good wines. So he's helped me to get some really great old world wines and pair it with whatever he's making.
I
I'm
think it's
telling you, the oxtail we had last night was like jaw dropping. It was so good.
you're making me hungry. I'm doing a wild game dinner on Thursday night. I'm looking forward to it.
Fun.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but like when I know someone and love someone and married to someone that is really, really good with cooking, being thin is a bit difficult.
Do you remember the TV show Hogan's Heroes?
No, I've heard
So
of
it's
it.
an old TV show from the
Okay.
60s,
Okay.
and the fat German dumb sergeant was Sergeant Schultz. And they're showing photos of this guy from World War II where he's thin, fit, some kind of an athlete. But after the war, he married a chef.
Oh, smart man. Yeah, I'll have to check out the show. I used to watch. Oh my God, what was the name of that show? um, God, what is the name of the show? It had like Nancy McKeon in it. You know who
Oh,
she
Facts
is?
of Life?
Yes, that one. I used to watch that show. I used to watch Charles in Charge. Oh my God, what else? I mean, I loved Saved by the Bell. um, and then a whole bunch of stuff on like cartoons and whatever, like Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain and
I loved Animaniacs because it was so much for adults with the, James Cagney references. I mean, it was more for adults than it was for kids.
yeah, I know. That's how I felt about most of the cartoons that I watched, like Family Guy. Come on, not appropriate for kids. Awesome for me.
Have you watched any Japanese anime?
No. Nope.
No?
I don't really watch much of anything anymore. In fact, we started rewatching the old X-Files because they're just fabulous. I don't like most TV now. It's just either like too much CGI and it's like just not rooted in anything that I could really like tangibly attach myself to, or it's just too woke and I don't want any part of it. Like a lot of the Disney stuff, it's like, I used to love Disney and like Pixar so much, but like when you start pushing like a social agenda, it's like, we're done here. I'm
So
done. And as I'm not boycotting them, I'm good. Like I'm not watching this because this is drivel.
so I have two TV shows to recommend that are old that you would love.
Mhm.
They're sci-fi: Babylon 5 and
Okay.
Farscape.
Okay. That's
And
cool.
and the new Battlestar Galactica, I think you would like. What's neat about Babylon 5 and the new Battlestar Galactica is that there's a certain religious undertone to it that I thought was really neat.
Hmm.
And it's funny that you mentioned the whole Disney thing. My 4-year-old and I, we watched John Wick, not Disney, together. I've come
Okay.
to the conclusion that John Wick is a better educational thing about dealing with people, as far as you treat everybody with respect, education, mercy, things like that, than Disney. Because John Wick doesn't just kill people; he actually shows respect and kindness throughout the movie.
So this might inform a lot of people about my general approach to life. My favorite show of all time is The Golden Girls.
Oh, I
It's the
love that
best.
show.
I mean, listen, I'm old enough to have watched it when it was like on the first run on Friday nights with grandma. And yeah, it was pretty fantastic, but it's definitely where I get a lot of my humor from. And it's like, it's funny, like I talk a lot on LinkedIn about all kinds of different things. And sometimes I get like these really inappropriate behaviors. I'm like, sucks for you, dude. I have been trained to destroy you through humor and humiliation. And I have both at my disposal. Like, so when people sexually harass me, I'm like, you're going to regret that.
I've told people, I go, my first 4 years in this business was on Bourbon Street selling beer to the bars.
Oh boy. How'd
Oh,
that
yeah.
go?
So you can imagine what I saw or what I heard. And I
Quite a bit, I
sometimes I
imagine.
tell people, I go, you don't have the thick skin that it takes that you had to have 30 years ago in this business.
Yeah, no, actually, I put something out there on LinkedIn the other day about how sexual harassment and like sexism it's still alive, but it's not as bad as it used to be. And I still stand by that. But I put this one thing out there like 2 weeks ago, and it was just a picture of me in a sweatshirt, like
Mhm.
relax. And this guy was like, "Why aren't you sleeveless?" I'm like, "Oh, let's trend it. Hashtag why aren't you sleeveless?" Like, what a schmuck. Why would you ever say that to a woman? Like, go away. You don't deserve my energy. So
It's kind of, I, I think, I think part of it is, and it could just be an observation. Luckily, some people are honestly learning what to say, what not to say, what's inappropriate behavior. And then
Yep.
there's unfortunately some people who just look to be in some ways offended. Um,
Yeah. I don't I don't necessarily think that it's healthy for people to look to be offended. Um there are certainly some people that really like they identify with like a victim role
Mhm.
and they get a lot of validation from that, but that's still outsourcing your validation and you're outsourcing your self-love versus insourcing it. And it's like, I feel really good about me. I don't care if other people make fun of me. I care if you harass me right to my face. I will humiliate and destroy you and I will enjoy it so much because like I love me enough that I don't mind standing up for me and I'm going to be proud of myself for doing it. And if someone wants to disrespect me, bring it. Like, that's fine. But I don't know, like I get comments all the time. Like I'll post something that's like really online, like I'll post something really like thoughtful and contemplative, and then I get a bunch of men, sorry men, saying something like, "Oh, you're beautiful." Thank you, I know that. Why don't you read what I had to say instead of doing the typically sexist thing of just looking at what I look like? Why don't you try that? Like, I get a lot of it. So it's like, it's the repetition of it where it's like, thank you for the compliment. And it's both. Like, I'm not here to decorate your world. If you're not interested in the contents of my head, then I can't help you.
I thought it was interesting when you were talking about your trip to Vegas and you
Oh,
had
you saw
people
that
that,
one.
you see, I do my research, and also with these algorithms, you know, interacting, your comments or posts kind of appear in my feed a little bit more often. But you were talking about how it's irritating people say, "Here, let me take you under my wing with ammo and this and that." And I'm thinking, okay, well, it's one thing to say, "Hey, I've been in the business for 30 years. If there's anything I can do, if you have a question, it's one thing." But to say, "Oh, you're just," I felt like they're talking down. Like, wait a minute, you have years experience of running successful businesses. Sovereign Ammo has successfully been launched, so
Mhm.
they might be able to give you an inside tip as far as like, okay, I'm running to the same problem. How did you overcome it? But they're not necessarily. But that's not the approach that they're taking. It's almost
Not
like,
always. I mean, I would say the minority is really being a bit disrespectful and minimizing. Minority. I'm really emphasizing that word, minority. But the majority is like, wow, thank you so much for being in the industry. You're great. We're happy to have you. Let me share what I know so I can help you be successful. That's awesome. It really is. And it has nothing to do with sexism because, I'm pretty open when I speak to people. Like, I'm new to the industry. I'm not new to business, but I'm new to the industry.
yeah.
I don't really know entirely everything. Far from it, actually. And my humility has created a lot of opportunities for other people to respond with kindness. And then some people were just dirtbags and they're just like, "Oh, where's your husband?" Listen, Chad, go back in the ooze that you crawled out of. I'm never going to do business with you. Also, women can do things like vote and drive. Did you know that? Like,
An idea for a new book would be collect all the stories of these kind of people and put them together. Like I said, one of these days, I think I'm just
it
going to write
could
a
be, but
book
it just
about.
gives so much like attention to that kind of a crappy way of life. And I just don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, it requires so much energy on my part to like invest into such negative space. And I love me too much to do it. And 'cause I know it would cost me a lot. And I also know that it would, I don't know that it would solve anything or make any of my readers feel better. Like, I really believe the Six Habits is a great way to learn to deeply, like deeply, sincerely love yourself in a way that is just impenetrable. And so you're able to do things that you're new at, and you're able to do things that scare you a little bit. You're able to get into a business that maybe you feel like you're not an expert at, or you're able to go roller skating and fall on your face, and who cares? Um, Self love is the beginning of almost every journey. And my next book will probably be a much deeper dive into the habit of acceptance.
Well, Laura, I know you are very busy and you've gone way beyond the time that we talked. And I don't want to just keep you on and on. I think you and your husband would be the kind of couple that would just have so much fun hanging out at dinner and having multiple bottles of wine with.
Except he doesn't drink, but yeah. Yeah, he's real fun to have wine with because that means he's more for you.
You know what? My wife doesn't drink either, so they could be the non-drinkers and our drivers.
There you
But
go. Yeah, I enjoy having a chauffeur. It's nice.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
Thank
thank
you
you
for spending
so
time with
much
me.
for your time and joining me on this.
It's a
Uh,
pleasure.
I really enjoy it. Thank you. Thank you. I'm
Thank you.
writing. Thank you. And here's to living the dream.
Absolutely.